students, welcome to the first video of comparison of adjectives. In your previous lessons, you have learned what is an adjective. In today's lesson, we shall learn a little more about the adjective, their classifications and their uses. Before we start our lesson, I would request you to kindly refer to the PowerPoint presentation sent to you from school. Let us move on to the next slide. In the next slide, you can see two pictures. One of Roger Federer, a tennis player, and one of a ball. When you see the ball, you immediately relate it to the word red. And when you see Roger Federer, you immediately might have told in your mind, oh my God, he's a famous tennis player. Adjectives, just to define them and to remind you, are describing words. They usually qualify a noun or a pronoun. Now for the first one, Roger Federer, if we say Roger Federer is a famous tennis player, the word famous qualifies the proper noun Roger Federer and hence become an adjective. In the second one, when we say it is a red ball, the word red qualifies the noun the ball. Hence, the word red becomes an adjective. So, just to remind you again, adjectives are describing words which qualify a noun or a pronoun. Now, tell me children, in a class of 52, you have a best friend, you have some good friends, you have some friends to whom you don't talk much, and there also might be some students whom you don't like. See what you have done? Without even realizing that you are categorizing your friends into good, better, best, or even worse, you are already using comparison of adjectives without even knowing that you are doing so. Hence, children, comparison of adjective is used to compare a kind of a quality. And remember, it is always used to compare the same quality. Now that you have understood why it is used, that is, to give a little more clarity to your thoughts and expressions, let us learn a little more about them. In the next slide, you see what it is written, positive degree. If I say, Rohan is a tall boy, I am not comparing him with anybody. I am just stating that Rohan has one quality which is of being tall. And I am only stating Rohan is a tall boy. So the word tall is an adjective, and since there is no comparison, it is a positive degree. Let us move on to the next slide. Let us now learn a little more about the comparative adjective. In the picture you can see two persons. Okay. So if I say Rohan is taller than Rosie, I am obviously comparing the quality tall between two persons. So if I again say Rohan is taller than Rosie, I am using the word taller to compare the adjective between two nouns, and I am also using the word than. For example, if I say Rosie is shorter than Rohan, even that is correct because I am adding the suffix er to the word tall and short to make it a comparative degree of adjective, and also the word than comes after that. I'll again just repeat myself. Rohan is taller than Rosie or Rosie is shorter than Rohan. The adjective is tall and short. I am adding the suffix er to the word taller, and I am also adding the word suffix er to short to make it shorter. Hence, in a comparative degree of adjective, you usually have the words like shorter, taller, and then it is followed by the word than. We'll move on to the next slide. In the superlative degree of adjective, the comparison is usually between more than two people. If I say Rohan is the tallest of all his cousins, I am making sure that you know that Rohan is the tallest in his entire family of cousins. You see what I have done? I've used the definitive article the before the superlative degree of adjective tallest. So again, if I am repeating myself, I will say Rohan is the tallest of all his cousins. Remember, the words est, which is a suffix, is usually added to an adjective to make it superlative. And before that superlative degree of adjective, the word the is always there to make it sure that Rohan stands out from the rest of his cousins. Now, let us move on to the next slide. You see, the next slide is very interesting. Let us read it out together. His cat is more large than my dog. His cat is larger than my dog. Now children, which is correct? I am sure you know the answer. So even if you know the answer, let us just check out the rules to make sure that you know why your answer is correct. Alright, so just to check your answer, let's just know this rule that if a word is of single syllable, you usually add the suffix er to make it a comparative degree of adjective. That explains your previous slide. Hence, if your answer was, his cat is larger than my dog, that was the correct answer, children. Because you see the word large, that is the adjective, is of one syllable. And when you are adding the er, it becomes larger and hence your comparative degree of adjective. Okay, let us move on to the next slide. Alright, now the second rule. For two-syllable adjectives not ending in y, and for all three or more syllable adjectives, use the form more plus adjective. Let us see an example to understand it. You see, what does the first sentence read like? This house is more exciting than ever. And what does the second sentence read like? This house is exciting-er than ever. Even to pronounce it is difficult, right? So the word exciting is more than one syllable. Exciting. Obviously, to make it into a comparative degree, we use the word more. And if we were to make it the superlative, children, we would have used the word most. It is not there in the slide, but there is no harm in knowing a little more. Okay, so again to repeat, the word excited is more than 3 syllables. It is not ending in y. So how will you make it into a comparative degree of adjective? By adding the word more. Hence, the first sentence, this house is more exciting than ever, is of course correct, and the second one is obviously wrong. We will now learn about the third rule. Alright, for two-syllable adjectives ending in y, change the y into I and add er. Let us see an example to understand this. Mike is funnier than Isaac. Mike is more funny than Isaac. Well, the word funny, it is ending in y. Alright, and then you will change the y into I and add an er. Now the word funny, if you turn into a comparative degree of adjective, turns into funnier. And if we use it as superlative, children, again remember the rules that we have learned. We have to add est. So if I say Mike is funniest of his class, that is also correct. But since we are learning how to change the last syllable, the last word, so that you can change it into a comparative degree. Here Mike is funnier than Isaac. So the word is funny. You change the y into I. You add er and it gives you the word funnier. Mike is funnier than Isaac. Mike is more funny than Isaac. The first one is of course right. The second one is wrong. Children, for today we have learnt enough. We will learn how to change from one sentence to another in our next video. Also remember, we are going to learn a little more about the regular adjectives and irregular adjectives. Thank you for watching this video. Have a nice day.